Fishing trips anywhere, anytime. FishingBooker.com. Want to plan your next fishing trip without the hassle? FishingBooker.com is the best way to find and book a fishing charter anywhere in the world. Whether you're chasing trophy fish or just looking for a family day on the water, Fishing Booker makes it simple, fast, and secure. With thousands of experienced guides, verified reviews, and 24/7 customer support, Fishing Booker takes the guesswork out of planning. Visit FishingBooker.com and book your trip today. Fishing Booker. Fishing trips made easy.
Midway USA knows the hobbyist, doing basic gun repairs and upgrades. Midway USA also knows the accomplished professional doing precision work as a trade. At Midway USA, we have the gunsmithing supplies you need, from firearm-specific tools and fixtures to general tools like screwdrivers, punches, stamps, wrenches, hammers, and files. Shop our wide selection of calipers, micrometers, dial indicators, gauges, and other measurement tools. Browse through our site for paint, stain, polish, and finish, as well as bluing and other metal finishing products. For just about everything for gunsmithing, shop MidwayUSA.com.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Bow Hunter Chronicles podcast, brought to you by Huntworth. Huntworth gear for all types of weather, all types of terrain, all types of budgets. It's clothing that just works. Check them out at huntworthgear.com. Got to give a big shout out and thank you to everybody that came out to the Muskegon Bowmen's Club for our second annual fundraiser. We were able to raise over $20,000 for the MB Archery Foundation for youth archery projects here in Muskegon. So thanks. It was a great night. Lots of the Patreons out there. Again, companies that came through for us. Big Shot, Waterfeather, Latitude. The list goes on, and can't thank you enough. DH3, Deer Hunter Podcast, sent some of that stuff down for us. Painted Arrow, all of that. Just a great event. The Muskegon Bowman does have a shoot coming up May 31st, the week before the Boyne Tack. So there's going to be a 3D shoot out for that. And we have one of the caribou, same one that they're shooting at for tack. We ordered it like months ago, waiting for that to show up, and we're going to set that up at 111 yards. So stay tuned for that. Muskegon Bowman's Club definitely getting our 3D course back out for the summer. So if you're not a member, you can go out there. I think it's like $10 to shoot. We've got PayPal, Venmo, all that stuff. Just QR code, scan it, go shoot. If you're a member, I think it's $5. So we have that there and available for you. But yeah, thank you guys so much, everybody that came through. Right now, go to the Latitude website, check out their outlet. Tons of new stuff on there. If you're into the Realtree Advantage, there is something for you on there for sure. Still have a few Method 2s left, as well as like an incredible deal on the Maverick. There's Mavericks like $140, $130 there. So if you've been eyeballing it, definitely something to check out. They do have ropes back in stock, so they have the saddle kits available. But yeah, so this podcast this week, kind of off the charts here, off the reservation, talking with my buddy Eric Beckman. You may know him from Skeeter's Fishing Report. We're talking about things to do here in the spring, not necessarily archery related. We do talk a lot about bow shops, archery, hunting deer, and kind of like some parallels with fishing. But he has the channel Experience Wild, and it was a TV show back in the day. He purchased it and has been doing some things with it, and it's kind of coming back to light. But just kind of give an idea of who he is and kind of things that we can do out this time of year that aren't necessarily for you guys who aren't into archery 100% of the time, all the time. So fun podcast, great talking with Eric, and you guys are going to love this one. As always, thanks for listening. Enjoy the episode. All right, everybody, Adam back with another episode of the Bow Hunter Chronicles podcast. And today we are going to, if you're here for just bow hunting, like, turn it off. This is going to be so far outside of the box for what we normally do, but I think it's going to be a fun one. I got my friend Eric Beckman here, and you may know him as Skeeter's Fishing Report. And we're going to talk some things about like what to do in the spring, like what's going on outside of archery. But how you doing today?
Good. How about you?
Not too bad. I've worked more in the last month than I've worked in the 3 months prior, which still isn't like a normal person's work week.
Sure.
But it's a little bit much for me.
Yeah.
And I'm not complaining. I'm very grateful, but I'm ready to have a day off.
Well, I'm not sure you want to hear the stuff I have to tell you about what's going on in the spring if you're running out of time with working.
So, yeah.
There you go.
But, yeah, so let's just get like an introduction, like who you are and, kind of what you're all about.
Yeah, I'm Skeeter Beckman, mostly known for my fishing reports, at least right now. I was a local sport shop owner, did that for the better part of 8 years. And kind of when COVID hit, that tanked out quite a bit. And we decided to move on. I continued with the fishing reports, working with a lot of the manufacturers for, repping fishing, hunting, just pushing the word out and moving product and sticking with good people who've got good stuff.
So, how did you get into owning a sport shop? And it's interesting because, we talk about John and Angler Archer and his dad working there, and then Frank with Springs. And then we had, from our area, Armstrong's, which is the legendary if you ever were in there.
Oh yeah.
And then, obviously Johnson's up there. So how did you get into that mix?
So I think I was 18 years old, 17, 18 years old. I worked at Angler. So I worked at Angler Archer, was a bow tech. Bruce Mumford actually owned it at the time, sent me to, so it was Bruce's Angler Archer at that point, sent me to some archery classes for McPherson. That was when Matt McPherson and his brother split. So McPherson Archery didn't have to pay the rights for the solo cam when the solo cam first came out. Matthews did their, so Matt McPherson did his solo cam. Mike McPherson did his solo cam as McPherson's, so sent me in to learn how to work on those. That really took off the whole archery side of things. But we had a huge fishing shop, so pushing a lot of worms, a lot of tackle, got into rod building, really working the sport shop with Bruce, and that's where the kind of the love of the sport shop thing started. Fast forward, still going to Angler Archer, and I'm, in my early 30s, maybe not even 30 yet. And Angler Archer is passed on to Adam. He was running it, doing well, but it was time for him to get out of it, and it left a huge hole. So north side of the lake, I was looking at it going, all right, where am I going to get my bait? And going, all right, we're going to build a bait shop in my shed. And, it'll be our bait shop just for my buddies to use. And you start doing that and realizing that, man, if there's an available building, we're going to look at doing something here. We ended up purchasing a building. That was not what we wanted to do. Did not want to purchase, wanted to lease a building so we could get out of it easily if it didn't take off. Purchased a building, opened up Snug Harbor Outfitters. It went really well for the first few years. And we continued to do well for, like I said, the 8 years that we were in business. Once COVID hit and you couldn't really get tackle anymore. And that's right about the time that Amazon just really blew up, and it was guys coming in and going, hey, you don't have that, purple number 12 deep diving Rapala that I want right now. And could wait till Thursday to get it, but I want it tomorrow. So we're going to order that from Amazon. So at that point, it was like, yeah, I think I'm going to gracefully bow out of this situation unless you've got everything and front pocket financed and have a humongous bait shop. It was like yeah, I got bills to pay. And it was never my full-time gig. So, it was kind of an extracurricular activity for me. I work in the environmental field and an environmental manager. Have done that for too long. I don't want to date myself, but it's too long. And yeah, it was like, we've been here long enough. We've made a name. Skeeter's Fishing Report was really, really popular. So it got us a lot of views. A lot of people came in. I've met a lot of cool people, run into people all over the place who know me. My wife absolutely hates it. So I think we were stepping off of a plane in Florida, and wife and I took a random vacation. So we flew into Sarasota, and, my mom was staying on one of those little key islands. So we got in there and got off the airplane, standing in the airport. And I hear this guy go, Skeeter. And I turn around and I'm like, hey man, how's it going? And I think you hear that enough times that you really can't place a lot of faces, but people see you. So they recognize you, and you've been talking directly to them. I mean, I'm talking to sportsmen, hey guys, it's Skeeter, and here's what's going on the lake. And they really take that to heart and go, Skeeter told me exactly where to go. This guy knows me. I have no idea who he is. Shake his hand. I'm like, hey man, you been out fishing? You down here on vacation? He goes, no, I live here in Florida. And I go, really? How do you know me? And he's like, my brother lives in Muskegon, and he turned me on to your fishing report. I watch it every week. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool, man. I'm glad you watch it. I don't know what the takeaway is that you have, but I'm glad that you watch it.
So it's interesting because it seems like there's a bunch of parallels with like what Frank had said about the archery industry and like Cabela's.
Oh, yeah.
He would say, like, he would go in there, and guys would go pick his brain. They'd get all the information about like what arrows they needed, what broadheads, what stuff, and then they just go order it from Cabela's because it was cheaper, or whatever. So, like, I guess maybe this is a good time to just talk about, like, we see all of the things on, social media here and there that say, like, support your local bow shop. Like, if anybody's been paying attention and listening to like even what we've found with like the decline of like ATA because of, because of COVID, essentially, like they don't need to be in person to do all this stuff. So the bows just launch online, everything launches online. Yep. They don't need to do it in person. So like from your perspective as a business owner who did that both on the archery side and then into the fishing, like what would you tell people as far as like supporting your local shop, or like what should we be doing?
It's important. It is important to visit your local pros, and get all your stuff from them. Those are the guys that are going to be able to take care of you personally. So if you've ever purchased anything online and had to return it, there is not customer service there. It's a sterile transaction. People don't understand what you went through or what you're going through. When you can walk into, I bought a bow yesterday. So I bought a new bow yesterday from Hesperia Sports Shop. I went in there and said, hey Jim, this is what I'm looking for, and let's talk about the inventory that you have, and what do you have of last year's inventory, and what can I help move off your shelf? And I'm getting a personal experience. If I have an issue, I know right where to go back to. I can walk in. If you spend money with those guys, and I did it for guys. Guy shows up to me with a busted rod, and things are all trashed the night before the opener, and he's like, I got to meet my buddies at trout camp in a little bit, and it's like, all right, man, I'll meet you at the shop. I'll stay open late. We'll get this done. We'll make sure that you have a good time, because that's what we're there for, to make sure that guys are getting out. Now you're going to have those owners that are like, these are my hours. Like, these are my hours. This is when we're here, and that's what you're getting. I think you do still need to support those guys because they need to be there. they'll still be able to take care of you. I'm not saying that everybody's going to stay open late and, stay the night before the opener to get you set, but you have no chance of that happening at Cabela's. We made a lot of friendships in the bait shop, like sitting around that. I had that big oak table that's now in my basement and, doing a podcast on. It's like that was the bait shop table. And we spent a lot of time around it just BSing and telling fishing lies and tying lures, making arrows. Like a lot of stuff happened there where you taught people things, you picked up things and learned things. You are not going to get that at Cabela's. Now, do they have the product? Absolutely. Do they have the same product? Not necessarily. So when you're looking for that edge and you're looking for that lure that's hot in the day, you're not going to go to Cabela's. You want to walk into your local bait shop and go, what's happening today? Like local archery shop and go, what's the thing that's coming out that I'm going to be missing out on? You're not going to get that with the, 22-year-old kid, 20-year-old kid that's working the archery shop. Does he know a bunch? Probably knows a lot of things. Probably looks at it and says, I got to get rid of these things that we have here. I'm being told that these things need to move. And you might be getting pushed a direction that's not necessarily the direction that you want to go. So, I like getting that stuff from the guy that owns the pro shop that says, hey, I talked to this rep, or hey, I've talked to these fishermen or these hunters, and this is what you need to have. This is the direction things are going to go. Don't get that because we're going to be sending those things back. Those are coming off. I'd rather have those open, honest, and look somebody in the eye and go, I was in here last year to buy a bow. So I'm talking to the same guy that I've done that transaction with before. And he knows me and knows if there's an issue that I'm coming back.
What would you get?
A bow lift.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I got the last year lift. So Jim had one left there. So if you're going to Hesperia Sports Shop and looking for the 33 lift, it's not there. I own it.
Yeah. And so again, like if we're going to draw some parallels here, you're talking about the fishing report today. Like, first of all, how the hell do you know that if you're not able to fish every day or like whatever, maybe you are.
Yeah.
And then like B, what about like all this stuff that we see in hunting and in fishing, like the secret spots, the secrets, like how do you play the two, like make sure everybody's getting fish and not giving away the secrets and, and not being able to fish every day?
So when you're trying to draw a parallel between, the secrets of hunting and the secrets of fishing, it's a completely different world because you're talking about, and it's changing with all of the sonar that we have now and live scope and things like that. So if deer hunting was underground, like it'd be similar, like if we were hunting moles in the backyard, you'd go, this is the spot. But when you're hunting deer and go, okay, now we've got a field of view and we're up top and, you level the playing field a little bit. Same with ice fishing, you go, you take away boats, you take all the cool electronics away, you leveling a playing field. You don't want to give too many secrets if you're a top secret ice fisherman. You don't want to tell me anything if you're a top secret ice fisherman because I'm going to spill my guts. But there's always a spot on a spot. It's that you can always go to an area, and we do it in the hunting world, in the fishing world. You go, hey, if you go to this area in this state, this is where we've all looked through our computer to say, where the most Boone and Crockett's come from. And you go, oh, it's this county in this
Buffalo County, Wisconsin.
Yeah, that's it. And you go, it's right here. And then you go, okay, so what is making them do that? And then you get the guys that'll go a little bit more in depth, and they're couch scouting, which I love to do for both fish and deer. And you're looking for, okay, so who's posted pictures of things, who's catching what where, who's hunting what where. You can be a little bit more loose with the fishing stuff, just because you can know the spot, but you still got to know how to do it to actually be on that spot on the spot.
Okay. Well, and it's funny because, you know, it's crazy. I think this is like the second podcast of the year that I've talked about fishing, and I think it's probably like the fourth in 400 episodes that we've done it. But my daughter was fishing, like, they kept leaving me alone with the, like, hey, just watch that rod. I'm like, I don't have a fishing license. I don't plan on buying a fishing license. So I had to go online and buy one real quick because I was like, God dang, I'm going to be in trouble. But she was out there just casting. But anyway, John, he always talks about when he's like fishing Muskegon Lake, he's like, I'm hunting walleye. He's like, that's what I'm doing. And he loves it. And he's looking at all that crap. I could care a lot. Like, but so you don't think that you're giving away any secrets. You're just saying, like, if it were deer hunting, you're just saying, like, you know, it's November 4th and, you know, they're chasing. You look at those benches, you're going to be looking at those pinch points, like, you know.
I don't even know if I'm going that far. Like, like that would probably be really in depth. You know, I'm when we look at a lake, and you know, as big as our lake is here, and all the smaller lakes in West Michigan, you know, I might tell you the lake that it's happening. If they're a big lake, I might tell you the general area that it's happening. And then it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out where everybody's fishing when you get out there and look at a bunch of boats. And it's, if you don't have that spot on the spot, and if you're hunting them, you're going to know. Like, if you are the guy that's been, or the girl that's been doing fishing in Muskegon Lake, and you hear my report, you can read between the lines and go, I know what he's talking about. So all the information's true, and you can be successful if you can read between the lines. But I'm not giving away all the secrets either. I'm just getting guys in the general area because I want them to be successful, but I don't want the guys that are being successful to be mad at me with how much I'm giving out. So it's not real specific.
And then how do you do it? Not fishing every day, or are you like on the water every day?
No, I am not on the water every day. I wish I was. Time is limited, and when you get to a situation like we are now, spring, and it's like, okay, we got turkeys. I got kids, so I've still got a little one, and grandkids too. So they've got to get outside. We've got mushrooms are popping up. Got to get out and find those. And then fishing on top of that. So then you've got, once you get into the fishing realm, you know, if you're looking at fishing as a whole, I would say bow hunting is a niche. Like, it is a very slim market, and it's a huge market, but it's slim. You start talking about fishing, and now you're talking about the whole world. So, you know, you've got just here, you've got Lake Michigan. So you've got all your open water trolling stuff. You've got the surf, so you got guys out there doing that. You've got the lake, which is all your warm water species that everybody's going after, and there's 20 of them out there, and 12 of them you want to eat. And then you go to the rivers, and you're talking about all the trout in there. There is a wide range of stuff that you can do. If you want to be a multi-species, well-rounded sportsman, there is a lot of stuff to chase right now. So can't really be on the water all the time, but over the years, I think what's made me successful is I have developed a very large network of people. I've also developed a large network of people who are super pumped up to give me information, and I make sure I follow back up and I go, hey man, that was your tip. That was you. Like they've given me good advice over the years. They always send me pictures. Like, I've always got some sort of a verification before I start throwing out that info and steer guys the wrong way. You know, I think in the beginning of the bait shop, there was a couple guys I had to have, I don't want to say internet conflict with. And I got the comments that were like, hey, this guy just wants to sell bait, so he's going to tell you that things are biting. It's like, I'll tell you when it's not going to. Like, I don't need to sell you 12 worms. And I remember one guy specifically, I had to go, all right, look, man, if you don't believe me, I'm not giving you the spot on the spot, but you come out and join me this Saturday. I will buy all the bait. I'll take you right where I'm doing this, and I'm gonna whoop your ass doing it. So you got to know how to fish. Hey, you can be real brave from the couch looking at your ice fishing stuff, but if you want to go out, like, we'll go. And I kind of did that publicly and said, let's go. We'll make a video when we're out on the ice. And he kind of backed off, and I didn't really hear much about that anymore. And I think it put a lot of people's mind at ease that I'm just trying to hand out information and help you be successful.
Yeah. And I think even like with like what we're doing in a lot of the podcasts and things like out there, like it's funny because over the years, everybody, like some of the comments that I always get are, I'm coming for your title as the world's worst bow hunter. Or people are like, you're not the world's worst bow hunter. Like, look at, and I'm like, well, I've learned so much, but it's so much easier to be like humble and to be like, hey man, I'm trying to learn through this information too. And because there are people who just want to be the expert. And I mean, if you think you're the expert, then you're sadly mistaken. It doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah.
I mean, Greg Litzinger, he said it all the time. He said, Tiger Woods has a coach,
Yep.
like,
yep, he does.
So like, that's just to me, but it's interesting to be able to build like a rapport like that without like being out there. And so it's almost like you're almost just like the fishing newscaster.
Yeah.
Like this, it's not like a weatherman who's just guessing.
Right.
But you're taking all the tips and everything and you're vetting them, and then you're saying, like, I guess like the old news, not like the new news today.
Yeah, no, and it's funny because that the fishing report really started with me, in customer service at the bait shop, and it was like, you send out some bait, and the next time the guys come in, it's like, what are you seeing? And I want to take pictures, and I want to know. Now, I'm not going to tell you that wasn't for a very selfish purpose. You go, when I'm sitting in this bait shop with not being my full-time gig, and you have to be seen being the owner of a bait shop and go, all right, I'm working 50 hours a week, plus I got to be at this bait shop. If I get one moment that I'm going to be able to go out, I need to have good information to know exactly where I'm going and exactly what I'm doing, because I want to be successful. I don't want to own a bait shop and give up all my free time to go sit on a lake to try to catch perch and to have guys go, well, they were hitting yesterday. I mean, I think I made shirts that said free bait yesterday. You get a little bit of old information, and it's not good. So you gotta stay up to date on that stuff.
So interestingly enough, I think that same thing about cell cameras, because that was, unless it's like accessible right now, that's like yesterday's information.
Yep.
And I think when they weren't cell cams, we would process that information. We would look at them and we would say, okay, well, I'm going back through, oh my gosh, there's a buck there. It was this was the wind, this was everything. But if you get that picture today, you're like, oh, I'm going there tomorrow. Doesn't matter. The wind's going to be similar, like whatever, but I'm going there. Well, he might not be there.
Yeah.
And there's a spot, and we have all done it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many times I say this. I sat in a rainstorm and a buck that I should have killed, where I always say I should have shot at, because I'm not, I'm not that guy, was right where I thought they would have been. And I would have been sitting there had I not got the picture the day before. And I sat in a rainstorm waiting, and it was like just miserable, awful.
Yep.
And, but I think that the same thing, like with what you're saying. And I think that, a lot of guys use that cell cam, like as I want as much, I can't spend all that time out there. I want to do it. I want to live. I thought you were going to say like live vicariously through these guys.
Right.
To be like, I'm giving you the information and it was right. And so like, I'm still fishing like,
oh, it definitely feels like that sometimes, but to get that information like we do with cell cams and, like we used to with just our trail cams, and go out there and it's like, all right, I got some time. I'm going to pull my SD cards, or, I remember going and plugging into them, and having to buy this crappy baby laptop so I could get everything off of them. You're hunting a memory. Like we've all got them. We've all got those good spots for fishing, for hunting that we go back to and go, I haven't seen shit in here in years. Like, why do I keep coming back here? Because you saw that one. You saw the boy, or you hooked that fish, and you go, my best friend, TK, the silent assassin, he'll tell me all the time, like, Skeeter, are we hunting a memory? And I go, I think we are. Like, I think we're hunting a memory. I'm at least going to go check. Like, I've made some pretty long walks to go, I'm going to go check. I think I've got a new one of those spots, too, and he'll probably kill me this year when I go, I'm going back there. I had a 7-yard poke into a really nice buck, and I ended up one lunging it and coming out the brisket because it was just way too close. And but it was a giant, and I had to sit through the rainstorm while the rainstorm came down and washed all my evidence away, and knew I was going to push him. But I'm gonna go hunt that memory. I know I'm not going to see him again because he's dead. Like, I killed him, but the recovery wasn't there, so I'm gonna hunt that memory a little bit.
Well, and that's the thing. That's why I say I would have shot at him.
Yep.
Because 7 yards, that maybe not exactly how you drew it up, but that's probably how you drew it up.
Yep.
It's pretty darn close, except for the, those are the ones too that, as it's all happening, at least for me, the ones that I've like messed up so bad are the ones where I'm already like grilling him, like he's already on the smoker,
yep.
And then you're like, whoa, what just happened?
Yeah, no, it was a bad deal. Like, it was a fun hunt. It was awesome. Like, I called it and said, this is what he's going to do. And it was my first night. I'm out of state. And I ended up putting that arrow into him, and he did exactly what I thought I was going to do. I beat the deer. My ability to judge things at 7 yards, and you know how it is. We do it at the Bowman's, right? Mm-hmm. It's like you get that 7-yard shot and you go, 31, 31, 31. And you put it on there, and it went in great, and I thought it was awesome. And I got a candy-coated arrow, and I look down and I look at the hair, and I'm like, that is not good. I got brisket hair, and I know where it went in, and then to relive it all on film, like have it all on my camera, and I had to erase that footage. Like, I was waking up like in real early in the morning, go, oh yeah, and then like looking at it again, and then calling the DNR guy that is my buddy down there and go, did anybody find my buck? Like, yeah. And he's like, Skeet, I sent him pictures, and he's like, yeah, nobody's brought that buck out. He goes, and they're not going to tell me. So,
that, I don't know. Those are the worst, but at the same time, like, that's the part of hunting. Now, for you, like, is that the way that it is with fishing? Because for me, and you've done a lot more fishing than I have, but I think I've fished a lot more than like the average guy. And for me, like, I grew up with a pond with, 2-3 pound bass in my backyard, and they all had, their lips were all wrecked from us catch and release like
sure.
700 times a day. And, then you go and you fish trout, and then you go fish the big lake and you catch some salmon, and, and then go catch walleye on planer boards, and you're reeling in a planer board, and then, oh yeah, there's a fish on there. Like, oh, no kidding. There's nothing like out there really. I would say, salmon or steelhead, like in the river, in waders, I enjoy.
Yep.
But like everything else is just, like now when I go like out of state or like ocean fishing, like you never know what's going to be on the end of it, and that's exciting to me. But I feel like
sure.
Here in Michigan, I've never caught, I've never been much of an ice fisherman, never caught a walleye through the ice. So that's something, and that's something I'd like to do, maybe some more. But But other than that, like, I feel like there's not a whole lot more out there. It doesn't do anything for me.
Sure. You know, the one, when you start honing that craft and going, you're not just going fishing, you're targeting something. When you know you have it on the end of the line and you lose it, those are the ones that haunt me. Like, those are the ones that pull me back every single time. Like, I've got some trout fishing buddies, and we go, you know, we do small stream, like skinny water, you know, lures to catch big brown trout. And it's like, I don't think a lot about the ones that are under 20 inches. 20 inches kind of like my benchmark of that's what I'm going for. And to have that banter back and forth to go, I got 3 over 20 today with my friends. But to lose that one, especially when you got your buddy next to you, like, I've got a buddy who'll call me to this day. Like, he'll probably see this podcast and he'll go, I'm calling you about the one. And I'll go, I know exactly what you're talking about. Those are the ones that haunt me. We set that hook and that thing bends, and there's a feeling in the bend, just the way that when you're pulling back that bow, and the next feeling is when it's sliding in the net, and that's when you're walking up on it, you know, and you know, just like walking up on that big buck, and that's what I'm going for. So when you get the hook into them and you get a good look at it, and you go, oh, this is the one we want to put our hands on, and then to have that slip away from you, oh, I'll fish those memories until I die.
Yeah, I mean, I think about, like, there was a day I was fishing with a buddy of mine, and we were up on the White, and we were Frank always liked to throw salted minnows. So we throw salted minnows, you know, and I'm fishing like the way that Frank always fished, right? So I'm fishing riffles, you know.
Yep.
I'm catching little trout, and then I'm catching chubs and all sorts of weird stuff, you know. And my buddy, he's like just in the slow water, just throwing these things, and he did it for hours, and he caught like I don't know. What I would say is, like, I'm not a good judge of like what is a trophy smallmouth, but it was bigger than any largemouth that I'd ever caught. It was the biggest smallmouth I'd ever seen, and he had it hooked by like just the lip, you know, because we were using the little tiny trouts.
Oh yeah.
We didn't have a net, so he beaches this thing on the rocks, gets it up on the rocks, and I'm chasing it around, and we never got it. It was off the hook, him off, and it was a fun day. And then same thing, he caught like a decent sized steelhead. It was like this time of year, you know, in warm water. Like, it was odd, you know. It was like Frank said it would have been like one of the like resident one that just lives there, whatever. We got that fish. It was in the creel. He's like, let me see that fish. I open the creel up, jumps out. You know?
Yeah.
So I kind of know what you're talking about.
Yep. Yeah, no, we get a good, when you're fighting that fish, or it's kind of like you're building that relationship at that moment, you know. And once you get it, to lose that's like a bad breakup. That's a bummer, man. But you did get all the fun of it, and I think that with fishing and hunting, it's like if you can get that close to a mature creature that you know that you're after, it's awesome to be able to go, like, I've honed my craft and my senses to where I've taken in all of this little bits of information and created a plan and executed that plan.
Do you get like creative with that at all? Because like I've got a buddy, and I could tell you the spot, and you'd know exactly. But it's on Norris Creek, right? So it's a little water, and he caught like a 28-inch brown or something. But he went after this fish like he knew it was weird. Like, he was like, I know there's a big one in there. I don't think he knew how big it was.
Right.
But he just couldn't get through. It was so thick, and he kept getting broke off. All this stuff.
Yep.
But I guess maybe this is what you're talking about, but like, he made a plan, and he's like, this fish that big, it's not line shy. So he put on some like crazy pound test mono, threw it in there, and ended up landing the fish.
Right.
Because he's like, it's not going to see the line. They're not going to know what it is, and I'm not going to get broke off again.
Yeah. I know they get to be big for a reason, but there's also some things that once they get that big, they go, I'm not afraid of a whole lot. Like you got to step on them to get them to move. And, and it's where you're talking, he's talking about that big brown, that 28-inch brown, brown trout they're a pretty mean creature. Like they eat a lot of stuff. Guys will tell you, I've never caught a brown that's over 15 inches or 16, 17 inches. And you go, yeah, you fish with something a little bigger. Like elephants eat peanuts, but, like when you use big stuff, you catch big fish. You eliminate, catching a lot of those smaller stuff. Like I think my lures start right around 3 inches long when I'm fishing brown trout. And it doesn't take a lot of water to hide a big brown trout. It's like I had my buddy go, well, what am I looking for? I'm going to go small stream. I'm going to go small river. And, where do these things hide? And I go, I don't know. Where can you hide a 2-foot long, 3-inch piece of PVC pipe? Like everywhere. Like they're all over the place. So you can hide it anywhere where there's water moving over that fish's gills, and you're going to find them. So, but the cool thing about browns, and we've done it multiple times. I don't know if you know Eric Wright. Eric Wright does some staff stuff for some of the same companies that I do, and we fish together brown trout. So, I was telling somebody this today. So, 2 years ago, I'm fishing a river opening morning for browns. Catch a brown, take a picture. This thing has a tail that is half cut off. But 23-inch browns are nothing to balk at. So, like, the cameras come out, we take pictures, we get the video release, and we get to really take a look at this fish, but put it back in a timely fashion. All good. 7 weeks later, Eric sent me a picture, and he goes, I caught your fish. And so he caught the same fish, and I go, where did you get it? And he goes, 50 yards from where you caught it. This is in a moving river where things are changing all the time. He caught the same fish within 50 yards. Just thought, is that a fluke? If you're a fisherman, you go, 1's a fluke, 2's a coincidence, 3's a pattern. Like if you can repeat 3 times, it's a pattern. And then we did the same thing on a different river. He caught a fish, took a picture. Brown trout are uniquely colored, so when you get down into it, I think Ron Brimmer does that to me all the time. I'll send him a picture of a fish, and then he'll send me a picture of a dot on this fish. He goes, this is the same damn dot I caught this fish. But we were fishing a river, and it was a beautiful fish. It was actually a 24-inch fish, and took the pictures. Eric sent them to me, and I go, that is a stud. And he goes, this is where I caught it. And I went, fantastic. 2 weeks later, I'm in there, I catch the same damn fish. So we have a lot of good stories with that, and we might make fun of some of our buddies and go, oh, I know that fish. I caught that fish before you. And yeah, that's my fish. You got him because I let him go.
So, like, pardon me, right? But what's the point?
Of torturing fish?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's just funny. You say, well, I never caught a. These guys saying I never caught a fish over 15 inches or whatever. Like, I don't fish that much, but when I did, like, I ate a 19 and a 17 and a 16.
Yep.
And like, that's the thing is, like, I would just as soon, like, I guess it's like shooting Tweety birds, right? You're not supposed to shoot them unless you're going to eat them.
Yep.
But you're just like, let it go so my buddy can catch it. Like, it's just and I understand, like, there's something to it, but like, if you just go back at, like, I know there's one over here, so I'm going to catch him again. Like, I don't know. It's like shooting deer with paintball guns.
Kinda. Now you're still talking about you're going to have to get close to those deer. So if understood, and I think if anybody ever outlawed hunting, there's probably going to be a lot of white-tailed deer with some paintball marks on them. Like, I think it'd still go out. I think it'd still go out and do that pursuit. Because, again, it's that chase. It's that building that plan, taking all of those tiny little things that you go, the river I was on yesterday, it's like, all right, it rained 2 days ago. It's cloudy. I know we got to get in here because I know we can catch some good fish. And we went to a river and we didn't catch much at all, like compared to what I normally do. And I found some boot tracks and then I tried to talk myself through it because it's like one of those commitment spots. Like once you get there, you go, we're either fishing here or we're not fishing. So it's like, all right, we're going to fish it anyway. Hopefully these are just some guys that didn't know what they were doing. They must have stomped through a lot of holes because things were still a little bit stirred up. And, you know, I ended up with I think a 19-inch fish and didn't really hit that 20 mark. And not that it wasn't a great day because we got to see a lot and we got to spend the day on the river and it was nice, relaxing. But I take all those little things that I've gained, you know, those people that tell me things that get said on the fishing report. And, you know, you put that all together to go, Saturday morning is my time. And I wanted to be successful. I was actually hoping to do a catch and cook. And I released all of the fish that I probably should have cooked. But that'll be for another day.
I forget. I was talking to somebody else about this, and it was another one of these things that was like, what's the point? Like, where, you know, if I'm only going to cook them if they're this big, you know what I mean? Like, and I understand, like, for some species, there's like slot fish, like these ones don't taste good, these ones are bad, but this is kind of where these are the eaters.
Yep.
You know, but it just doesn't, I mean, what if you wanted to cook one, if you wanted to eat one, you just wanted to eat a big one? Or what?
No, it wasn't an eat a big one. Like, so when I'm going out there, I'm going out there with a specific plan. If I'm going to do a catch and cook, like I love eating fish. I like eating brown trout. I love eating brook trout. Like I'll prefer a brook trout over a brown trout, and I'll take a coho over a king. But when, you know, doing a specific, like I'm going to go do a catch and cook, I had a plan. I mean, I was like, this is how big my pan is. I need 2 brown trout that are this big. Like, I arrogantly went, here's my plan. This is what I'm doing. And that got humbled hard. So, especially when I took a buddy with me and I go, around the bend, this is going to change. This is going to be a completely different animal. We get right up here. And we did exactly what I wanted to do, and the fish were not there.
Now, is there like parallels there with like deer hunting with like the over scouting? Like, the next spot. This looks like a really good spot, but that over there that might look a little.
Yeah, better. No, so we're covering a lot of river when we're doing that type of fishing, but you know, similar to like lake fishing, you know, you can, if you over scout for fish or for deer, we always say you don't leave fish to go find fish. So if you over scout, you find, when we're doing even scouting for like tournaments, for fishing tournaments, you go, I'm looking where there's not fish. Like I'm going to eliminate water. I know exactly where fish are, but I'm going to just make sure that they're not in other locations. Yeah, that having too many spots, kiss of death. You'll leave fish to go find fish, and you'd be bummed out.
So, you know, we've talked a bunch about fishing, and that's fine. It's fun conversation. But one of the things that, you know, you also do that I'm pretty interested in, I haven't even, I mean, it doesn't necessarily go along with bow hunting, so I just haven't had the opportunity, is like foraging.
Oh yeah.
Like, I've got a bunch of books, and my brother is pretty into it, and you know, he'll go and get this, and I can identify plants pretty good. But like, you're doing things with, like, you know, I think you make like some ramp butter and you know, mushroom hunting and all that stuff. So talk a little bit about that. Like, how'd you get into that side of it?
Oh, I think it starts with morale. It always does. Like for me, because if you're a bow hunter or a brown trout fisherman, you go, this shit's really hard to do. So like, but you can take anybody to do it. And you go, I'm going to go after morels, because that's what people are doing in the spring. and you find a couple, and then it becomes a disease, and you are just become addicted to it because here's the trophy, here's the thing, the one thing that everybody's out there after, and people are talking about on the internet and in these forums and saying, morales are popping, and then you're getting to throw in some of your knowledge when people go, it's too cold, and you go, it's not too cold. I took temperature readings, and the soil is this, and I checked my spots that I know, and I found these baby blacks, and sending pictures to my buddy of these morels that are big as your pinky nail, and going, we're going to see if these things grow or not. And all the old timers will tell you, like a morel pops out of the ground, that's as big as it's going to be. Somebody else is going to find it, pick that thing. And then there's other guys that'll tell you, like, here's my time-lapsed video that I watched this thing. And they don't, from the time you find them to the time they start shrinking and drying up, it's actually not a lot of growth. They can grow, but there's not a lot of it. It just kind of happens. They just kind of show up.
See, I don't think I've ever like actually went like, oh, we're going mushroom hunting today. Mm-hmm. I've been out and like looked for mushrooms. Like if I was somewhere and I was like out in the woods and I'm just like, oh, let's see if there's any mushrooms around here. But I don't know what I'm looking for.
Sure.
The only ones I've ever found are like at my parents' house, like along the ditch or like up in some pines. Like, oh, there's a mushroom. Found one by the pool. But it's just like happened upon them. Never like these fields of mushrooms. So like in those times that you're talking about, like what is the time frame? What are the factors? And like, where would you find it? I mean, you're talking about like soil temperatures and all sorts of stuff.
That's
just
getting
like
into the weird science of it. That's nerding out on a mushroom.
Yeah.
And it has a lot to do with temperature and moisture. So I was out last weekend looking for mushrooms, and it's too dry. I found a couple, but I think that's the maddening thing about morels. I can tell you exactly where to go find them. You're looking for mature woods. You're looking for your popples that got some oaks mixed in, some ash. Then you start you get to the bottom of an ash tree that's in a dying popple grove and start following the root system away from the tree. You're going to find morels. It's going to happen. But are you there at the right time when they have popped up? So, your black morels and your white morels, and then every color phase that comes in between that everybody argues about and says, those are brown morels, those are gray morels. And you go, they're all the same. There's two. There's two of them, and there's different color phases of them. But yeah, you're going to get, then you got guys that say, hey, apple orchards. Apple orchards are fantastic to find morels, old apple orchards. But you'll find those a lot later because they're whites, and whites don't pop up when blacks do. I found blacks in the snow. So, we had one of the greatest spots in the world that is now covered in condos right down there next to Fisherman's Landing. That little energy building that went up. It was my favorite morel spot. I used to pick tons of morels in there. It's condos now, and I'm sure they enjoy picking some morels out of their bushes once in a while. But it was that was my spot for blacks. It's like you go there. I know I can go in there and walk in, do a quick scan, bounce out. If I can't find them, I don't even need to check all my other areas that are around. That was my litmus test. It's like, go in there. If I can find a mushroom, it's time to go everywhere else.
And what are you looking for like time of year? Because you're saying, okay, right now it's too early. But like you see, like I think of morels as like shed hunting. Like I'm getting better at shed hunting.
Yep.
Morels, not so much.
Yep.
But I don't have like, I don't have trail cameras for morels. I'm sure people do.
Right.
But you get that check-in picture and it's like,
boop. Yeah, there you go.
But like time frame, because it's always like, oh, I was turkey hunting and I found morels and then I found some sheds and like, oh, it's all like right around the same time. But I was just talking to somebody yesterday and they're like, oh, it's really beautiful out in Michigan. And I'm like, I'm waiting until Memorial Day to unwinterize my sprinklers because it could be 20 degrees tomorrow.
Absolutely.
So that inch of snow you're talking about finding morels,
Yep.
and that could be right now.
That is the case. It's like, you always start right about turkey season looking for those mushrooms, and it doesn't have to be warm for morels. Moisture content is a better indicator. Definitely some warm nights. If you can get a couple of those, you can pop the mushrooms, and they'll be standing there in the cold, where I found them in the snow. So, really that beginning of April, going on through May. May is the morel mushroom month in Michigan. So that's when Truffant, the morel mushroom capital of the world, is having their morel festival. And you can definitely go up there and find them. They'll sell you a map. Got to be careful what locals you buy maps from up there.
Are we going to see Skeeter's mushroom report coming up?
No. I like you talk about sacred spots and go giving away tips. I don't talk morels very much. Like I know people who will threaten my life if I tell too many tales.
But like with morels, like I've got my brother's like best friend. He's like, yeah, morels are fun to hunt, but he's like, all the other mushrooms are way better to eat. Yeah. And like, how many edible types of mushrooms do we have like right around here where we live?
A ton. Like there's a lot, and they don't just happen in the spring. So if you're going to forage, you've got mushrooms is a great place to go, but it's a scary place to go. If you don't have that knowledge or somebody who can take you by the hand and go, see that thing? And you go, yeah. And then you go to pick it and you go, don't pick that because that one will kill you. And it's like there's a lot of lookalikes. And now that we have the internet, we have, cameras on our phones that you can take a picture. But then AI is not always right. They told me that fox season was open the other day. And it's one of those things where you got to have some knowledge. You got to have somebody that's willing to take you out, show you some things, and there's some pretty good courses around. I know they do like a fungi course that they do out to Pioneer Park, and they've done one to Hoffmaster also. So there's some classes that you can take to learn what to forage. But like right now it's spring. There's a lot of mushrooms popping out. I looked at my shiitake pile that I inoculated a bunch of logs this morning and went, there's a lot of mushrooms on here. So I had a pretty good bloom in the last couple of days. We're going to have to pick mushrooms here soon.
Now, is that an indicator of like, because you've given these mushrooms like the perfect storm.
Yep.
I mean, that's what you're doing when you're growing your own mushrooms. But is that an indicator of like what's happening, or
I don't even eat those mushrooms most of the time. Like I give them to my friends, and I eat a lot of wild mushrooms, but I only have that log pile so I can see what's happening.
Okay.
Like shiitakes act like a black morel timing wise. So I will tell you that I have it set up where I can go out there, take a look, and I'll go, oh, it's time for me to go look. So it's like, had a friend that had a bluegill in a tank, and he fed that thing. And he would look at it and see where he's at in the water column and how he reacts to the bait that he was giving him, depending on when he was going. And he was a bluegill fanatic. Like, it's time. Weird dude, but he came into the bait shop all the time, and he'd tell me what Bluey was doing. So not the Australian dog on kids show. Bluey was a bluegill living in the tank.
Yeah, it's funny because I'll like go around and it's fun. I think mushrooms are scary, but like being able to show my daughter like ramps, and then like even walking around the lake, like there's like right over here on the hill there's peppermint, and then just down the road there's like the wild onions or chives or whatever. Yep. And just to be able to see and like, oh, like that's a plantain, like you can eat that. There's mullein, you can like wipe your ass with it, or you can make tea or a poultice or like whatever. But like I don't eat mushrooms, so it doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
And it's probably why I don't go fanatic over like trying to find them.
Yeah, no, and so mushrooms is a good one to start with and then it really goes into foraging. Because, like, red stag sumac, we've all seen it, and it's easy to spot. You look at that sumac and you see that red horn of just fuzzy red horn that's on it, and you go, you can pick that and dry that thing out, and then take the seeds that are out of that red, fuzzy, velvety piece, and crush that and make a seasoning for a steak. You go, I'll try it.
You can make a tea out of it too.
Yeah,
but the ones that are hanging down,
not good.
Those are itchy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the point of sumac.
Yeah. So it's like, again, lookalikes, and they're out there, but you get the right one. Ramps are, like you mentioned earlier, one that I go after every year. I make ramp salt. I make ramp butter. It enhances my cooking. I'm doing a thing. It's easy for my kids, like my kids grew up doing it, and now my grandkids, and my last one, my 6-year-old, like, she loves getting out there. Give her scissors and she gets out and she collects ramps, and they're real wild garlic onion kind of flavor. And we only take leaves. In my youth, you'd find ramps and you'd pick it and you go, we're going to pickle these bulbs, and we're going to make soup. And leek soup is fantastic. Leek and morel mushroom soup, fantastic. But if you can kill a lot of ramps really quickly if you overpick a patch. So when you find a patch of them, we always say go take 10%. And I'm to the point now where I only take the leaves, and I'm trying to take one leaf off the 2 leaves that are coming up. So trying to give the plant a chance just to continue its root system.
Fun fact for all of you guys going to the Boyne Mountain Tech, we're back at Boyne, and through their courses, throughout on those side hills, there's ramps everywhere. So
they're up,
and if you smell onion or garlic while you're sitting there waiting for the next shot, you look down and it looks like almost like tulip leaves.
Yep.
With no flower. That would be a good indicator that it might be a ramp.
That is a good indicator. If you want to figure it out, it doesn't take long. I mean, it's a red stem. It's a bright green. It's the first thing that's up. Looks like a tulip, usually 2 leaves. Reach down, pick one. You will know really quickly if it is a ramp or not. I mean, it will undoubtedly smell like the most garlicky onion you've ever smelled.
I think the last year that we were up there, one of the guys that was shooting with John's brother found some morels. So we brought the morels, and then we brought some ramps and chopped them up and fried those up. And it wasn't, I don't think, the greatest because we had a few cocktails, but yeah. It was definitely some foraging right there on the mountain. So you said ramp salt. I remember seeing that you had made that because you post a bunch of like cooking type stuff.
I do
all that stuff. So what's the process for like making that? Like, what's the recipe? Like, how do you do it?
Yeah, the ramp salt. The ramp salt, I actually use a sea salt that I get, and I buy it by I guess it's the kilo. Maybe it's a little bit more, but so 2.2 pounds, I believe it is, just a bucket. I take that, I take my ramps and I make a slurry. My slurry consists of lemon juice, ramp leaves, washed ramp leaves, because no one wants the inherent Michigan bug in your salt, but table salt when I'm making the slurry part, and I use a immersion blender and get it the right consistency where it is just absolute green water, and I'm putting it into that big bucket of salt, mixing it until it's a consistent green color, and then I'm putting it in my smoker to dry it out. So I'm drying it out at 180 degrees for hour and 15 minutes and turning it back into a dry salt that is green, that is one of those when you put it on a steak, you'll go, I have to do this for the rest of my life. I cannot go without this.
So for a normal guy who doesn't have 2 pounds of salt,
yep.
How much slurry do you need?
If you went to your local grocery store and you could just get your your box of salt, you would need maybe a tablespoon in there. I would get the coarsest salt that you could find, because tends to be the way I like to do it. And you're going to put it in a pinch pot when you're done. So it's going to be something you want to grab out of there, or a little spoon. Get a coarse sea salt, and you're probably going to have, it is like 6 leaves. Put them in an immersion blender with a 1/4 tablespoon of lemon juice, maybe a 1/4 or half a tablespoon of water, and then a little pinch of just regular table salt in there will get that slurry really going. And it'll turn into a liquid. Pour that in your salt, just keep mixing it and watch it turn green.
Okay.
And then dry it out. Like, before, you definitely want to dry it out. Like, I've got people who say, well, I put it out on tin and I'll put it on my deck. And you can do that. Like, you can do that. It will dry out. I like to be a little extra and bougie, so I throw it in the smoker. It's smoked ramp salt.
Yeah. Yeah. I remembered that you did the butter, but then now that you say that, it's like the salt. And I saw like whatever video you posted, it looked like a gallon of salt.
Yep. It was a lot. It's a lot.
It's like everybody's getting salt for Christmas.
Oh yeah. And when you're that guy that does all the things that I do, and like my kids all know, they're getting ramp salt, and probably some homemade sourdough bread that my wife's making, and yeah, we're those weird people. I'm gonna get a loaf of something wrapped in something else.
So you keep saying like that you're like videoing this stuff and putting up videos and stuff, and what's that all about? I mean, I know, and it's been like a long time coming, and maybe it was like up and down and up and down and up and down, but we're getting back there. So where's all this stuff going? Like, what are you doing?
So, I do social media. We had the Experience Wild network. John Cedar and I actually bought the Experience Wild network from Dave Thomas. So Bow Hunter Planet. When we bought it, we had big dreams, and that's when we had the bait shop going. And, and it's gone up and down. Like you said, it's like, okay, we're going to do a podcast. Well, and as you know, because I've had you over to go look at what I've got, and then we've had to kind of revamp and go a different direction. All of this stuff has been for all the videos I've made that you've seen that I put on my personal social media or on Skeeter's Fishing Report has been really to hone my craft, to start the Experience Wild network back up, and the Experience Wild podcast. Hopefully people will be downloading episodes here in the next couple weeks. Like, we've got some episodes recorded, very similar to the format that we've done today, to going from fishing to foraging to bow hunting. And my wife always goes, well, I have to get some hiking and stuff like that. And we can absolutely talk about that. And it's going to be that. If you want to know what's happening in Michigan or some stuff that you can do, we're going to put you in the right direction. Only want people to be successful.
Yeah. And, that's kind of why I wanted to do this podcast, is because, there's so much. I guess we focus so hard on archery, and it's like, we're, getting, now is my turkey season started, but I'm like, now I got my daughter, so I'm trying to get her out to kill her first bird. And I'm going to be filming a bunch more this year. So coordinating that, but it's all, we're like right now today, almost less than a month away from the Boyne tack. And so I shot my bow. I've been shooting the trad bow the whole time, but I'm like 140 yards with trad bows. There's guys that do it, but it ain't me.
I've heard of guys doing it, but
yeah, it ain't me.
Yeah.
So got the compound out, shot that, got humbled. Need to thumb button was way better than the hinge. Like the hinge, I need to get back and start shooting that in the basement again, because. But for us, like, those are the things, and that other stuff that kind of, I guess, like, gets in the way of our archery isn't everybody's life. You know, it's funny when I talk to people, and even like you, it's like, oh, we're fishing, we're doing this, and like, what do you mean? Like, you should be shooting your bow. Like, you should be like, you know, you still shooting the trad bow? Like, you got that? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
You know?
No, I still got a target in the basement. I'm still shooting it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, and you know, for anybody listening, like, you know, Eric is like, this is, you know, he came down here and doing the podcast in person, and you know, I don't think it took like a rocket scientist to like walk through my garage in the basement and where we're sitting right now, and like, oh yeah, this is what he does. And like, so in Eric's basement, it's like fishing stuff, cooking stuff, and guns everywhere. Guns. Unless you're the ATF, it's different stuff. It's not guns.
Recycled pieces of metal.
Yeah. Yeah. The rest of them, he had a terrible boating accident a while back.
That's right.
But I mean, the guy's like the real deal and been doing it for a long time. And to I don't even want to say like to start something, but like to kind of, I guess, like finish something, you know, to finally, you know, start that ball rolling on the ball you built a long time ago.
Yep. No, and it's really like it's the end game for me, right? To be able to go. So I want to pass on some of that knowledge that I've gained from just being that ADHD sportsman that goes like, I want to touch it all. Like, it's like I want to be the best predator caller that I can be. I want to be the best bow hunter I can be. I want to be the best rifle hunter, fisherman, and chase all these fish. You got to be a little crazy to do it all. And I've got a lot of things trapped in my mind, and I always have to have a project. It's like I have to have something to be doing. So the Experience Wild Network lives. I've got a lot of footage. I've got a lot of B-roll. I've got a lot of plans, a lot of storyboards, and a lot of things coming up. So, but the Experience Wild podcast is one that I'm really excited about, to just be able to get some of this stuff out and help guys be successful and help families get out. You know, how to help your 5-year-old daughter, you know, sight in a 6mm arc suppressed. You know, with the scope that I'm looking through the scope on my phone, you know, that where she's, and I'm going, squeeze the trigger, you know, like, cause I'm looking at my scope on my phone that she's looking through. And, you know, I had that 5-year-old out there at Twin Lake Gun Club, and she dropped 5 through the mag and, you know, was stoked that she put one in the heart. And I go, guess what? You're going hunting. So we went out and were unsuccessful, but we filmed it all. But I would say unsuccessful in bringing a deer home, which was okay. We were successful going out, getting set up, eating a Wesco donut, like enjoying the outdoors, watching the sun come up, and then taking a walk across the field back to the truck. And I think I carried her most of the way and made a nice little video going, it's pretty nice hunting, isn't it? I'm pack muling this child out of the woods.
Oh yeah, that. No, my daughter, she's great, but she don't carry anything. And like, so I just bought one of those guide gear makes it. I'm sure somebody else makes it. I was looking at like those Newcomb blinds.
Oh yeah.
You know, well, I bought like those are like $120, $150, and I was like, for what it is, like, I don't know. And so I was looking around. Well, Guide Gear makes one that's just like a dual hub. So it's just like a hub blind, but it has no roof and no back. Folds up to nothing. It was like $40. I'm like, I'm going to give that a try. I popped it up, was shooting the trad bow behind it. Oh my God, for me and my daughter for turkey, that's going to be the cat's meow. Because last year I was carrying 2 pairs of all the calls, the decoys. I was carrying the gun. She had her iPad and her book, and I had the blind on my back with all that other stuff in there. And, you know, we're out on public land, and we walked, I don't know, 1/4 mile or so. She's like, how much further? I'm like, well, you're not carrying anything. Like, you're kidding me.
Yeah, I can't hear that right now.
Yeah, like, no. So, you know, I totally get it. But you said that, like, 6mm arc, like arc, PRC, like what? And I think I had this conversation with you, like when we were at your house, like why all of the calibers? I know you just said the ADHD thing, but I'm like minimalist, like prepper guy. Like give me 12 gauge, 9mm. My 7 mag is an outlier, but 223, 308, like sure, that's it. That's all I want.
Yeah. It's so you get a little bit of that FOMO when you see some of that stuff come out, and you go, all right, so what do I have to have? When the 6mm arc came out, I fell in love with it. It was that AR platform that I could use for nighttime coyote hunting. It's easily suppressible, which helps me with all the coyote stuff and predator calling. And I had to have it. So then you go, okay, this is a little small for my deer hunting, which I did deer hunt with it this last year, and I took a few animals with it. And since we've got a very liberal doe count, like I put a few down, did that on video, and went, all right, I'm going to use my 6.5 Grendel. So I went to the 6.5 Grendel, I got a few with that, and it's like, all right, I'm going to go get a few with the 350, all AR-15 calibers. I don't get too much into like the PRC. The Creedmoor took off, the 6.5 Creedmoor. And 6.5 Grendel is just that same bullet shrunk down into that 223 casing, so you can run through it. It's a little bit bigger than the 223 casing, but still that same platform, that AR-15, where you've got to go to AR-10 to if you want to shoot that Creedmoor or that 243 or that PRC. You're talking about, bigger rifles and bolt action. And I'm affiliated with a rifle manufacturer, so Brenton USA. So I hunt with their rifles a lot because they're fantastic. They're made right here in Michigan, and know the owner, and super humble dude, and comes from some grassroots beginnings. And you kind of latch on to people like that. And I think once I really started hunting for predators, and using the 6 arc, the Grendel, which is now expanded into 204 Rugers and 22 arcs, and get way dorky about it because I'm trying to get like, you're shooting a rifle that's built to be sub MOA to begin with. So I'm putting these things, 5 shots in a nickel at 150 yards, like you're clover leafing and trying to count the bullets that are in there.
If you guys are just listening, not watching the video, I'm literally rolling my eyes. So I just want to be transparent here.
For sure. Yeah, no, it's dorking out on something again, right? So it's taking it to the weird ADHD level. But because I do that, I have a lot of knowledge that I can pass. And when people go, so if I'm going to hunt, I want to hunt coyotes, I want to hunt bobcats, I want to hunt foxes, and I want to hunt woodchucks. What should I get? And I go, well, what are you doing it for? Like, are you keeping fur? Are you hunting a coyote and a bobcat for the fur because you want to stay away from a 204? Like, those things are not fur friendly. Like, tiny little bullet, but it's coming out of their hot, it's coming out of their fat. If you want to explode woodchucks, fantastic round. So it's every one of them has a little bit different. And then once you get into that, you got to start selecting bullets, and you get the one that kind of falls in this category. You say, this is where I want it to ride. These animals, and here's how big they are. And we, take the animal that you're going to shoot is this many pounds, and we want this many foot-pounds, which you want to be double at the distance that you're going to be shooting it. You would kind of reverse engineer it and go, man, you fall in this category, And you talk about your 7 mag. There's a reason why guys went with that. It's like, yeah, I can kill an elk at 700 yards because that bullet, you take any bullet and it's still going 1,500 foot-pounds at 700 yards. You get any decent-sized bullet, and then You got guys that'll say, I'll shoot an elk with the Creedmoor. And you go, nah, you can. It can be done. But you better be a really good shot. And it's not great for whitetail deer, but you want to select the bullet correctly too. So it's not just about, we used to all just run down to Meyer and, get the greenbacks or Remingtons and go, yeah, just shove them in there. Yeah, things are way different now. So,
well, I mean, I guess I would argue, like, are they?
No, well they're, they're not, but they can be.
Yeah, because I mean, I think you give me a Sierra Bowtail out of that 7 mag, I'm all right. The funny thing about that is I tell everybody about my hunting, right? But the furthest I've ever shot a deer with a rifle was like 90-some yards with a open sights Winchester Model 94.
Sure.
I've shot them with the 7 mag at 15 yards with a 3-9.
Yep.
But it never presented the opportunity. And I think that's why, like, for me, bow hunting is, and, my elk I shot with a borrowed rifle at 360 yards or something. And then I literally came back home and I missed at 30 yards with my 7 mag. And then I missed at 90 yards with my 7 mag.
Yep.
And in between those two shots, I shot it and made sure the 0 was on. So
yep.
That's a me thing.
A you thing, but when you have the right caliber, you have the right rifle, and you spend time behind it, it is the throw in the baseball. Like, your kid's running across the backyard, you're not thinking about where to throw that baseball to get to them. Your mind knows where to put it. Same thing with a rifle. Like, it used to be, we would miss deer. Like, if I miss a deer at this point, I kind of go, what the hell happened? And like, we're like trying to reverse engineer the miss and go, we got to have an explanation for this because it can't be the rifle. I'm hoping it's not me, but it's probably me. Like, you jerk triggers and, don't squeeze correctly. But when you start putting, 200 rounds through a rifle, 300 rounds through a rifle in a summer, then you go, this thing's an extension of my arm. So, you pick it up and feel mighty confident. I think, you get that one rifle and you go, man, anything inside of 200 yards is I've got a fighting chance at it. And like, you pick up that same rifle after you've put 300 rounds through it and conditioned it, broke it in, like, you clean it the same way and go, and I'm shooting AR-15, so I don't clean them. Like,
I was going to say, you're supposed to clean them?
Yeah, you kind of like when stuff drips out, and I'm shooting suppressed, so it's super extra dirty. But it's like, yeah, I take that thing out of the case and I go, I don't like anything's chances inside of 400 yards.
That's what I was going to ask you, because I knew, like, most of your guns are AR-15 platforms, and you're talking about like sub MOA guns, and I don't think of an AR platform as a precision rifle. Like, when you're talking about that type of accuracy, I think more of like chassis rifles or super heavy bench rifles, and definitely not semi-automatic,
right,
or suppressed. So, like, what is that the same platform that you're using, and like, what's different about those rifles or whatever that they're able to attain that?
Yeah, and I think that's really the company that I got set up with, and Brent USA. I'm not afraid to say their name and put them out there just because they are a Michigan company, and they took that precision rifle, and the AR platform. This thing is Nat's ass. Like, they're guarantee sub MOA, lifetime guarantee on the rifles. I think that's what really turned me on to them, because there was always like you got to have a good bolt gun, because that's where it's going to be. That's where it's the most accurate. And then somebody proved me wrong, so I kind of did the big bull, ran in there and go, you'll never beat a bolt action rifle with, this glass on there, and you're spending double on your glass versus what you spend on your rifle. So there's no way I'm going to pay that. And then somebody put me behind it, and I spent a month trying to figure out what was wrong with these rifles, and then went, I probably need more of these. So
where do they fall in? And maybe you know this, maybe you don't, but like as far as like mil spec parts, or like if you were going to put it up against like a Bravo Company, Daniel Defense, anything like that.
Oh, I would put them head to head with like a Daniel Defense. So the things I don't like about those mil spec rifles, like you're talking about, you bust them apart, take out your pins, take out your BCG, and look at it, and anything that's military or mil spec, you're talking about it's going to be, it's going to be stamped. There's things that are going to be pushed metal to metal that are going to prevent things from moving. Stoner had a really great design when he put together a bolt carrier group. And then Colt said, we got to stake it. We got to stake it because we got to make this thing for the military, and we're going to have to make it cheaper, faster, and be able to just go across the whole platform. So great design by Stoner. Kind of great things happened, but in my opinion, a little bit molested when it went to Colt and went militarized. So these guys went back to Stoner design. So it's a Stoner designed, or with the Stoner design in mind. This is not a staked bolt carrier group. You don't have stakings on this rifle. Things can't back off. It's precisionally put together. When a bolt carrier is taking somebody that has it staked, maybe, 30 seconds, 60 seconds to get that thing put together, that one's getting put together by hand and tuned by a guy who's taking 10 minutes. So you see it in the price, but it's a different animal. And then everything that on those rifles are put together based on hunters. Like you can't drop a mag out of it. I mean, you press the button and you got to reach up and you got to pull it down. And they're all the followers that are in the magazines, they're all set for 5 rounds. So you can hunt with them just about everywhere except Illinois. They don't like them at all, but we had to build some magazines that would only allow you to take 1 round. And because they let us shoot them, but we could only have 1 round in them. So we did that. There's oversized pins, takedown pins, a little bit of oversized everything. The forearm of that rifle is kind of designed to remind you of Grandpa's 270. So I think it was a Winchester 270 was what it was kind of designed after, and it's got that hunting rifle feel. Like I was never one of those guys that was my hats off to the military. Like military guys had a use for them. But then when the Milsim guys kind of came on, and they're like, "Ooh, he's got this AR-15, this tiny little sort of short thing. I got flashlight on it," and I was like, "Oh my god, why do you have that?" Or I got this laser sight and this and that, and this flashlight, and it's like, okay, I get it. It's cool. And then video games get like, I get it.
Because I'm doing my job and I am who I am. Some of your guns are like red and orange.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I got to say the same thing. Like, why?
No,
Why?
for sure. I've got an orange gun, I've got a white gun, I've got a black gun, and it's really the reason why they did it was to get away from that black gun mentality, right? It's to go. The only thing that Brenton could do is put wood stock on this thing to make it more like a hunting rifle. And I think it was one of those where you go, you gotta have something that's different. So they're like, no black. Like, we're not gonna do a black one. So even the midnight one that I have is like a gray with a silver kind of twisted into it. And if you think about it, if you're going hunting, like probably the worst color that you could have is a black one. Like you could hide a white one. Right? You got snow and even an orange one. You talk about fall, and a green one, a brown one. Black, I don't know a whole lot of things that are black out in nature. Everything else has got a nature feel. So they wanted to stay away from that black rifle platform or look to it, and then you get me involved, and it's like Skittles. It's like, oh, I gotta have every color there is. So
yeah. Like I said, I just gotta give you some shit.
Yeah, you should.
That's what I do.
Well, I'm telling you why I'm rationalized it in my head.
Yeah, just like why I want to I someday I'll have a suppressor like da 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 da, and then I was like, wait a minute, it'll fit on the 350.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, so yes. Stella needs one. It's for her, not for me.
Yeah, it takes away recoil.
Yeah,
she
earmuffs, like
hearing conservation and removes recoil.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. So with Experience Wild and all that, when, how can people check that out, follow along?
Yeah,
Skeeter's Fish Report, all that stuff.
Skeeter's Fishing Report, you can find us on both Instagram and Facebook. That's relatively easy. Same thing with Experience Wild. If you follow either of those, you'll be able to get to the website. You'll be able to get to the podcast. Podcast will be where you can find Bow Hunter Chronicles. If you've found Bow Hunter Chronicles, you'll be able to find Experience Wild shortly.
Awesome. Well, man, I appreciate you coming over and
brother.
Cutting it up.
I appreciate you having me over.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, dude.
All right, man.
Explore historic waterways in 2025 with Scenic on the most inclusive cruise on Europe's rivers. Enjoy up to 5 dining experiences, spacious suites, and butler service. Be immersed in the culture with enriching free choice excursions and exclusive events. Scenic, in a class of its own. Book now and save.
Gear up for the hunt and learn from the best with Deer and Deer Hunting Wednesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern on Waypoint TV. Tune in every week for expert hunting tips and unforgettable moments in the field. Waypoint TV, your destination for outdoor entertainment.